It's a trap!
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
This is the Team of Rivals podcast.
Everything you want to hear from the big sports to the big screen.
He's all by himself, fires into the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! No!
On into the windup in his first offering. Just a bit outside. He tried the corner and missed.
He doesn't like you. I don't like you either.
Time winding down. Michael for three. Yes! She is gone!
I don't believe what I just saw.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
You believe in miracles? Yes!
You may fire when ready.
What?
Good evening, Cubs and Cardinals fans. It's Tuesday, April 22nd, and this is the Team of Rivals podcast. We are thrilled to have you here. Guys, that Justin Tucker kid, he's pretty good. I'm sorry, Kyle Tucker. Thinking of the football player. Kyle Tucker. That Kyle Tucker kid, he's pretty good. Hey, listen, follow us on social media, Team of Rivals Pod, and for those of you who prefer to watch the show, you're doing it right now. I don't need to read this. So hit the like and subscribe buttons and be sure your notifications are on so you know anytime we post new content. Joining me as always for this week's show, co-founder of TOR and number 171 in the 2024 edition of C70's Top Cards on Twitter, Ron Nuttall, and our permanent guest host, I think officially the occasional has been retired, Elliot Dewey. Fellas, how you been this week?
How have you been? You guys have to be pretty good, right? I don't know.
Feeling great, man.
Great right now. You're up on the Dodgers 5-4.
We haven't dropped a series since Japan, right? Am I right, Elliot? We haven't dropped, other than Japan, we haven't dropped series. We tied we tied the Snakes in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Should have won that one.
Should have won that one.
But have won every other series and against good teams. And here's the crazy thing. After tonight, right? They're done with the good teams in the NL West, or not after tonight.
They still have San Francisco.
Yeah, but well, you're right.
Yeah.
The Giants are good, but the Diamondbacks, the Padres, the Dodgers after tomorrow night, done. We don't have to see them again. That feels good.
It is pretty good. It is pretty good to get those out of the way early on. I gotta make a statement here. I feel like,
and Ron, I just have to say, the Cubs don't play a game past 6:40 until August 22nd.
That can't be true.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they played so many West Coast games. Like literally every game the last few weeks have been at like 8 o'clock to almost 10 o'clock start.
Sure.
It was this year, right, Elliot, that they moved up the start times from 7:05 to 6:40. So now Cubs home games start at 6:40.
Correct.
Yeah, I did not know that, but I wanted to make a statement here before I got interrupted by Elliot to tell me what the clock's going to look like through August. Thank you.
That's right.
I got a Facebook message at 8:07. It looks like shortly after we went on here from an old coach of mine in high school. He was both a football coach and a baseball coach, also an English teacher. He was coach when my dad went to high school, and I probably mentioned him on here before, at least comments about coaches I've had or teachers, whatever it might be. But he sent me a picture of our podcast with the flame next to it. This guy was one of my favorite coaches, especially as you reflect on everything you've done in life. Just literally one of those coaches that didn't care who you were, didn't care who your parents were. I think one comment he made, I might be screwing this up, but he could hate your guts and give you an A, love you to death and give you an F. That was kind of how he did things. But he was
what you want.
He was a baseball coach, and he was awesome. And you can't statements like he probably told other players this, but I know I heard it myself that I was having maybe a tough time, maybe a little nervous, playing real tight one game, and he said, "You're playing so tight, I couldn't slam a needle up your ass with a sledgehammer." The other one, you can't say that stuff anymore, but he was absolutely right. Another phrase I distinctly remember is we were wearing the home white uniforms. We were playing terrible, and he had a way of getting our attention if we were getting lazy or letting the game slip away, just not mentally in it. He'd get us back in it real quick. He flipped the entire bench over. Got a warning, but I remember after that game, he told us that we were wearing, again, all home whites. He said, "Hey, you guys look so bad. You look like dog shit in the front yard that solidified and turned white."
Oh God.
So anyway, but he was a great teacher of the game. Awesome. He was really fun. He took my freshman year, like a ragtag group of literally like Rogue One crew, and got the most out of us. Like we had no business being like a 500 team. We were terrible, but he squeezed every ounce of us that he could. Every ounce of baseball we might have had or watched. Like he really got the most out of us. So the fact I got a message from him tonight, that's kind of cool because he was one of my favorite.
Hey, Elliot.
Yo.
Mute the game.
Oh, so I'm sorry.
Anyway,
he's going to get bumped back down to occasional.
He's going to get downgraded real quick. Anyway, that was Coach Bill Lightsey is who I'm talking to. So,
as Duke noted in the comments before you dropped the name, so
we won't do it, but Duke and I could fill an entire episode full of just phrases and comments and situations and things. So his comment about how tight you were playing, Ron, was that before or after Ferris Bueller's Day Off? I would have to assume after. I don't know.
Because he should have just stolen the line. Cameron is wound so tight. Sergeant, back it up. Pardon my French, but Cameron is wound so tight that if you shoved up a coal up his ass in 2 weeks, you'd have a diamond.
Well, that would have been a good one too. But the needle in the sledgehammer is
that's pretty.
Yeah,
that's a lot more
graphic,
metaphorically graphic. I like it.
But my grandfather used to say, "You're wound up so tight you couldn't get a grease BB up your ass."
Yeah.
All right, so let's get things a little bit on track. I don't disagree, Ron.
If I could play back the clip before we started recording, we'll get that in somewhere. I won't spoil it. We'll figure out where to use that.
Don't doubt you will, and I can't wait to hear it. Ron, you're right. Elliot, please expound on why. For those, you can look at the standings, right? And as a Cardinals fan, you can be like, "Fuck." Just taking care of that explicit for you there, Radcast. Right out of the.
We actually did have one last week. I went back and on a rare occasion listened to a little bit because I always like to listen to it in my car to make sure the audio is not screwed up.
Yeah.
Fast forwarded somewhere early on. I did it.
Of course you did. Anyway, so if you're a Cardinals fan, you're not paying a hell of a lot of attention to the Cubs because why would you? Unless you're doing this podcast. You look at the standings and you're like, damn it, Elliot. Why, other than the obvious, right? We're in first place in the NL Central by a game and a half. Why are we feeling so good as Cubs fans?
It's the offense, man. The offense is playing at a level that it's been a long time since I've seen.
2017, right?
Yeah, these guys are averaging right now, and it's early. We can still say that.
It's too early.
It's too early.
But they're scoring 6 runs a game. They're stealing bases. They're moving guys over. They're playing situational baseball. The offense looks good. So, I thought I saw one stat that said not only are they scoring the most out of the NL, but they also have the most base runners. Consistently have men on base because they're taking pitches, they're getting walks. I mean, it's not even that they're hitting home runs by scoring this much. They are just hitting the ball.
Well, yeah, you look at tonight's game, perfect example, right? Shota Imanaga has given up 2 home runs, and yet the Cubs are leading 5-4, and they haven't hit a home run.
They
With
haven't.
the wind blowing out at Wrigley, they've scored 5 runs on Dustin May. Yeah, I agree with you, Elliot. This is fun. And I know I said it.
Let me take that back. They just hit a home run. PCA just
shut up.
Okay.
Oh, nice reaction, Dustin. Oh my goodness. PCA.
So the Cubs have scored 146 runs. Is it a solo shot?
No, it was 2 run.
2 run.
Okay, so 2 runs, and it probably doesn't have the score from tonight in the updated stats, right? So
we're probably looking at 153.
Yeah. So going into tonight, they had 145 runs. Next closest were the New York Yankees at 130. So you guys are right. The Cubs are scoring in droves.
And it doesn't matter that they played 2 more games than everybody else because of the Japan series, because they only scored 4 runs in that series. And yes, I know you take out the 16-run game against the Dodgers, although really you shouldn't, because it kind of demonstrates exactly what can happen. And you take out that ridiculous game over the weekend. Still, they're capable of scoring runs in bunches, and I agree, Elliot. This is something that we haven't seen in a while.
It's super exciting to see. Yeah, obviously, the big thing that we're kind of down on is the bullpen. Because it's a bullpen by trial for the most part in some games. I mean, if you can get to the 7th inning, you're usually looking at Merriweather, Hodge, and then Presley. But if it's anything other than that, if you've got a short start by your starters, then it could get a little dicey. So there's a very small circle of trust.
But again, I say this about every team. That's true of every team. No team, even the Dodgers.
Yeah.
No team has a perfect bullpen. Every team's bullpen is a opportunity just waiting to happen.
Unless you're San Diego, because San Diego's got a pretty nails bullpen.
Up to this point, I would agree. I watched a little bit of their game last night too. Up to this point, I agree with you, Elliot. Like, if there's anybody you can say probably is the most comfortable at the moment right now, it would have to be San Diego. But don't whine to me about bullpen. Not at all. I don't want to hear a word of it. The Cardinals bullpen has been awful.
Oh my God.
It's been brutal.
And normally you would say, hey, you know what, Miles Michaelis, you're underperforming as a starter. We're going to move you into the bullpen, but I don't know that you want to throw that kind of a bomb into the last 5 innings of a game.
Well, the thing is, experiment away if you're the Cardinals manager right now, because you can't really screw up the pitching. You might as well. The starting rotation for the most part has actually been pretty solid. Yeah, the bullpen has been brutal. But you guys are like, I don't want to get off of offense because you guys were on a high there for a while. But the Cardinals are in the top 5, top 7 in most offensive categories. So it's not the offense.
No.
Maybe it's the timing sometime of offense, right? Because one thing you can't tell about the lines here is that, hey, were they timely or are they during blowouts, right? Like, were they just kind of compiled things?
Right.
So you could argue a little bit that definitely their extra inning runs scored is pretty bad because they've lost a few of those. But yeah, for the Cardinals, it is all about pitching. The pitching has sucked, and the only guy they acquired was Maton, and he had a rough go of it a couple of days ago.
Speaking, and I'm going to tie this in and then give it back to you because I have to revel in it, and I know that I have said this before, and I'm sure that it's blasphemy for our Cardinals fan listeners, but and I'm not saying they're the same, but it's the excitement on the bases that has me most, right? Like, yes, absolutely love seeing the runs scored, but more I enjoy seeing the chaos. And what I really enjoy about the Cubs this year compared to last year, you had a couple of threats on the bases, right? You had Horner and PCA, and to a certain extent, maybe you had Swanson. They were aggressive, but not the way that they are this year. And I know that we're not going to see the numbers, and believe me, Cardinals fans, I am not making a direct comparison, but
if you even say the 85 Cardinals, you can't do that.
No, I'm going to talk about the 82 Cardinals, which is when I first really became aware of baseball and it's fun. Cool. And so I pulled it up on Baseball Reference just so that I can refer to it. And I'm not saying the Cubs are going to put up these kind of numbers, but if you look at the Cardinals, basically they're starting 8, right? So Porter, Hernandez, Smith, Oberkfell, Smith, McGee, and Hendrick, right? 7 of those guys had double-digit stolen bases. Plus, David Green came off the bench in 76 games, and he stole 11 bases. So just, and you know that guys who steal a lot of bases like that are also making the right decisions when it comes to taking the extra base, going first to third, all of that stuff. And that's what this current Cubs team reminds me of a lot, is that aggressiveness on the bases translating into pressure on the defense and runs scored. And it's the kind of baseball I love. Fuck this home run shit.
I know. Well, you know what I'm going to react to that, right? I'm going to agree with you that the game is more fun when you have the element to it. And I'm wondering if the Cubs at this point, gosh, they have 31 steals, only behind the Mariners, who have 32, Brewers 34.
And I'm going to guess that they have a higher. I bet they have a higher stolen base percentage than those two teams.
The Oakland A's are only 25 steals behind the Chicago Cubs, so that's, watch out. Maybe it's sea level out there in Sacramento that's slowing them down.
But it's not at sea level in Sacramento.
That's just right. Well, it's coast. We always, I guess that's stupid. We have mountains in North Carolina too that definitely aren't in sea level. But like I'm wondering if the Cubs have caught, like, cause I hear you, right? Like there's all kinds of fast guys in baseball. There's also fast guys that are just dumb base runners. Harrison Bader was a good example.
Yeah.
He said, hey, all that speed in the world, and it never put it to use because he wasn't a very good base runner, especially early in his career when he first came up. Honestly, he's not listening to this. He's a fucking dumb base runner. I'm wondering if the Cubs at this point, rather than having a baseball combine and just looking at the skills, at this point, the teams that are successful with this run game also have guys that get it mentally. That's the difference, right? You can have all the speed in the world, Billy Hamilton, but if you can't get his ass on base, what good is it, right?
Exactly.
Right. You put him in the ninth inning, you put him as a pinch runner late in the game, that's all you're going to get from him. You're really going to pay a guy like that $8, $9, $10 million a year to do that? No, they're going to have short careers. So speed,
and that's where we're having a team that has a lot of, that has speed up and down the lineup, right? You can have Billy Hamilton, but if you have Billy Hamilton and he's surrounded by a bunch of Adam Dunns, he's useless, right? That's one guy. And if he's not getting on base, you're not putting any additional pressure on. But the 82 Cardinals, when you've got 7 guys in the starting lineup who are going to put that kind of pressure on the defense, it makes a difference. And, you know, Ron, just following up on your point, number 1 team in stolen base percentage this year, the Mets. Number 2, the Cubs. So it's not just numbers, it's also success.
Also, when you're choosing to do it and how good you are at doing it.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like 85 Cardinals, they obviously, that was Coleman's rookie year when he came up, and I think he stole 105, 110 bases. Like, I don't know if we'll ever see in the hundreds again. I know Pete's looking it up for me as I read off.
Of course I am.
The only guy they had on that team that year without speed was Jack Clark.
Right.
I think everybody else in that line, well, maybe you could argue Darryl Porter might not have been the fastest, but you at least you're right. Like there were 7 guys in that 85 team, definitely on the 82 team, 85, and then 87. They still had a lot of them as well, right? So yeah, those were fun. Those were fun years to watch.
So 85, Tom Nieto, I don't know how you pronounced it, and Jack. Right. Nito and Jack Clark combined for a single stolen base. But they attempted 7. So Nito was caught twice. Clark was caught 4 times. But still, the willingness to send them makes a difference. Because there's always that pressure because you have to be on your toes.
I'm not going to make you look it up, but I think if you looked up Albert Pujols and Yachty steal percentage, I bet it's pretty high, and they weren't fast,
right?
They knew the spot to do it, and I bet their percentage.
And you're right. Vince Coleman, 110 stolen bases, caught stealing 25 times. I would not have expected that.
No, I would not expect that either. Like a rookie year. What about 86?
1986. Give me
105.
Give me 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. 1986, 107.
I'm wrong.
14.
Okay, so you got better. You got a little bit better in his.
He did. And then it got worse the next 2 years. 87, he went 109 and 22, and 88, 81 stolen bases, caught stealing 27 times. The league started to catch on to him.
Yeah, he was just getting desperate at that point. He did go downhill after that, but gosh, still to steal 100 and what'd you say? 110 bases his rookie year?
110, 107, 109.
That really is crazy.
It is. All right. So Albert Pujols, career over 22 over 22 years, 117 stolen bases, 43 caught stealing.
Oh, it was a lot worse than I thought it was.
Well, but it's not. If you think about it, right? You're talking about 5 stolen bases a year on average and caught stealing twice. You would take that.
Especially from him. He did not have speed at all. What about the catcher?
The catcher.
I'm remembering.
Take a guess. 19-year career. 19-year career. Take a guess.
20 stolen bases.
For his career?
Yeah.
Incorrect. Higher. Much higher.
Really? Okay.
115.
Lower.
90.
71.
Okay.
And how many times was he caught stealing?
You're going to say like 48 times.
Elliot?
25.
37, right in the middle of you two. Not
right.
bad.
Okay.
See, the wisdom of crowds.
I mean,
but again, a slow runner, but he still was above that 66% that you want. So when they were sending him, it was worth it.
I don't think anybody sent Molina on purpose to ever steal a base. I think
it was a busted hit and run.
I think he did most of those on his own. Maybe he caught a pitcher that was just a little sleepy, not paying attention, taking some extra time. And I think that's where he got a lot of his. And I think Albert got a few of those too.
Yep. Looks like Kyle Tucker just had his first encounter with the right field wall. He didn't hit it too hard, but he had to go back faster than he expected, and he ran into the Sloan door sign at the bullpen.
Yeah. I think you got to pull Shota now because he just gave up. Yeah, there we go. He gave up a bomb and one right to the wall.
Leaves and vines look pretty soft.
Yeah, but they're not.
They're not. Not with a brick wall behind them.
Yep. Craig made the right call.
Yeah.
We're done. Thank you for 5 2/3, Shota. We'll take it from here.
5 2/3. It's an accomplishment. What do we got in the situation? Okay, we got
in Major League Baseball. It is an accomplishment. 5 2/3.
Yeah, no
that shouldn't be though.
No, you're right. It absolutely shouldn't be. What have we got here? We've got what is it? Is it still 4-2? God, the Braves must be just thrilled to have.
No, it's tied.
It's 4-4. Hey. Oh, but it's the middle of the 7th, so
it's the Cardinals still have to run their bullpen out there for at least 3 innings.
Yep. So, so they're about to give it up.
They're about to give it up. Which okay, so you know how I am with this. Usually about we're getting close to 25-ish games.
It's almost that time.
In about a couple weeks, we'll be about the 40. Yeah, we'll be about the 40 game mark, and we can really start to make true.
And of course, I'll be traveling and won't be able to do a podcast that night.
No,
we're going to do it anyway.
Of course you are. I'll call in.
I think we'll be in May at that point.
Yep.
And really, I think we'll know for sure. We'll look at Arenado's numbers at that point. Look at where the Cardinals are headed, and I think that's when I think that's when the real watch will be on. Right, that'll be the 2 months we look at and go, okay, well, it's going to happen within this window.
You think they'll start shopping in June?
I think they'll start shopping before June. To be honest, Elliot, if they keep, look, it's 23 games in. They're 9-14. They're just terrible on the road, right? They're 1-10 on the road, 8-4 at home. So they're
if he continues to put up the numbers that he's putting up,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like we'll keep a close eye on that because if he's actually having a decent year, okay, now we're probably talking at deadline. They're not going to get a ton for him. I don't think, in the matter of how much money they're willing to eat, I guess. But I think that's the time we see it happen. Because I think the bigger need for the organization is save a little bit of money, but let's start letting some other guys play. Thomas Jaycee has come up now that Wynn has been hurt. He's looked really good. He's made a really good debut, really strong debut, and it sucks to see guys like that. They're going to have to go back down when the guy's healthy. So I think we'll start to see an actual effort this time of clearing some older contracts out of there. call them bust, call them whatever you want. But I think that'll be the window where we start to see some of the guys like, I would hope Miles Michaelis, Matt. So I think we'll see some of those move. And I don't expect much in return, but I think this is all an effort to kind of clear the deck and let some of the young guys finish out the rest of the year.
Speaking of shopping, the buzz, the rumor is that the Cubs have already started. Not that they're necessarily committing to anything right now, but that they're also already testing the waters, obviously for pitching. But I don't know. I mean, depending on who they're looking at, Elliot, I'm a little worried of who they would trade without that. Like, I would hate to see them trade Alcantara or Casey and then not sign Tucker. Like, that's the fear, right?
Right. Yeah. And something's probably going to change after today too, because the ass man was supposed to pitch tonight, and into his warm up, grabbed his side, stopped. He was scratched from tonight's start, so he's going to be a setback. Depending
and for
on
those of you who are unfamiliar, Elliot is not referring to Ron.
No,
yes, man.
Javier Assad.
That's right.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that.
You're welcome. So that might make Jed a little bit more aggressive, since he doesn't have that other arm coming up.
Although, man, they got a lot of depth going on right now. Like, I think it's a matter of time before Cade Horton gets called up. I know that they're not going to rush him, but look, if he's going to be one of the 5 best starting pitchers in their system, they can't continue to keep him down in Iowa. Not if they're making a run.
I think they're just waiting for him to get that pitch count up to a comfortable level for him to come up. I know they just signed Pomeranz. Was that today?
No, that was yesterday. They signed somebody else today.
Yeah, and then they're supposed to send him to Iowa, but he's at Wrigley today. So maybe he'll be some bullpen help. I don't know, because right now for the next 2 weeks, the Cubs have quite a few off days. They've got 2 this week, and I think they've got 2 next week. So the starters should get extra rest before each of their next starts the next couple of weeks. So the Justin Steele factoring really won't happen until sometime into May.
If it does.
We don't know. I mean, you got Ben Brown, who's been pitching pretty damn good lately. He hasn't, after that big blow up he's kind of settled in. He's had a good game. He struggled and he had a lot of pitches in his previous start, but he worked through it and they got the win. So it'll be interesting to see when Jed makes that, I want to say big move, but we don't know who he's going to go after. I mean, everybody wants him to make the trade for Sandy out in Miami, but we'll see.
Elliot, we are getting some stellar connections from you. I know that you never do, but I'm going to invite you to go back and watch the video tonight about 30 minutes in. Because you just put out some great content.
There's some great auto tuning that's happening in there. It's great.
Yeah. Some auto tuning, some speed issues, video and audio sync issues. It was awesome, man.
And it's crazy because everything on my side looks fine.
Of course it does.
Oh, sure. But I can't fix that on the audio. So just go back to 30 minutes. It actually sounded pretty cool.
And you're going to want to watch it because there's not only is the audio great, but also there's a complete lack of syncing between the audio and the video. So excellent content. That having been said, Elliot, excellent points.
You look like a dubbed over movie for there a second. Like, good.
Yes.
Ron, what are you? I mean, obviously, I think that we've talked the Cubs to death right now, at least enough to.
That's all right.
At least to make you completely sick, but not so much that you acted like you were falling asleep once again. Anything you want to add on the Cardinals?
Not there's not a great deal. Again, it's going back to the Cardinals. I think the big hiccup for them has just been the pitching, and I'd say especially the bullpen. Looks like Palante only went 4 1/3 innings tonight, gave up 4 runs. So I don't expect the staff, if it remains as is not going to be anything special. It'd be its ceiling is probably in the top 18 pitching staffs in the league. And
I mean, if you're 4th, 5th in the division, how do you justify keeping Gray and Matz around? I mean, I think Matz is the easy one to shop, but I don't know. Gray seems like a luxury because it seems like the Cardinals are at least 2 years away.
Yeah, I would agree, if not 3 or 4. So
and he's only got 2 years left on his contract, right?
Yeah, he only signed a 3-year deal, which was a low risk at the time, and
yeah,
3 years, nothing.
So he's a luxury, especially if you can get contributors. He should be attractive to a contending team that's looking for another starter.
I agree, and so he's one of the probably 5 or 6 names that I think we'll all be watching as we get closer and closer to the trade deadline in July. Or it's probably August, but you know what I mean? Like as we get into July is when the talks really heat up. He's definitely one of the 5 or 6 that I would think that they're going to be actively shopping. Now, I don't recall because I don't have it in front of me, but I don't know if he has a no trade clause or not. But I imagine they'll approach most of these guys if they're going to be having talks about him to see what they'd be willing to do. So it might be a finite amount of teams that they can talk to. But he's definitely one of the candidates, Pete, because to your point, look, if you're not going to be there anyway. Forget what you're paying him, but the guy's in his 30s. He's a veteran. Let's see if we can get him somewhere else where he's got a little bit of a shot to make it into the postseason, right? Which would be the team you would be talking to with a veteran on a short-term deal. That's who you'd be talking to. Somebody who's making an immediate run.
And Ron, your instincts are correct. He does have a no trade clause. In fact, he invoked it earlier in the offseason. Apparently, the Cardinals were shopping, got an attractive offer, and Sonny said, "No, thank you."
Jesus. Well, I mean, look, they're right. They negotiated it in. If the Cardinals wouldn't have given him a no trade clause, somebody else would have anyway. But it's kind of a thing that happens now. Be curious to see how much longer that lasts, though. To the degree that we know it today.
Especially if they continue to play the way that they have.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm talking about league-wide, just no trade clauses and early opt-outs and all that stuff. I mean, it's giving the players a lot of power, and teams have been willing to do that to get the name.
Right.
But don't know if that'll last forever, especially the way the game is going, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, but there's obviously special cases like Juan Soto. But yeah, he's one of those though that I would expect that they're probably going to try to deal. Maybe they don't. But he's one that I'll be watching.
I would be fascinated to know, what's the cost to a player, right? How much more do you have to sweeten the salary deal or the bonus or whatever it is in order to get them to not insist on a no trade clause in their contract? Because I wonder if teams aren't going to start doing that, right? You know what? It's worth it for us to pay an extra $5 million a year to know that we can get out from under this contract if things aren't working.
I mean, that's one thought, but the thing that might work against you there is just now the average annual values to a point where you've really limited who can absorb that anyway. Sure. I guess it's a thing. I'm just be curious to see where all this is going. Like, hey, once at some point in time, you know how this league works. I know they're not supposed to work together and collude, but you know how it goes, right? Like at some point in time, I would expect that I think little luxuries like that the players are getting are going to be harder and harder to find.
Especially I think that front offices, like, they learn from their mistakes, right? I gotta think that the Cubs are going to be more reluctant to give out no trade clauses, considering the lack of flexibility that it's given them with, Ian Happ.
Right.
Ian Happ.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one that is, I think, had he not had a no trade clause, I don't think Ian Happ is currently with the Cubs.
I agree.
Well, what gets me is that I have a no trade, but I also have an opt out.
Yeah.
I mean, but the teams that agree to that never win on that deal, because if a player opts out, it's likely the team didn't really want him to opt out. Now they're going to have to pay him more.
Right.
You can't trade him before he can invoke the opt out because he's got a no trade clause.
Right.
So it just, to me, it seems like kind of dumb deals. But you know what? As long as there's 2 or 3 teams in the league that are going to be doing that, maybe it never goes away. Maybe it actually gets worse, like deferring, 98% of your salary over 20.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I had forgotten about this until I was reminded, because obviously we had some pretty epic pictures that have come out of golf the last couple of weeks, and I know that you guys have seen it. Ken Griffey Jr., to give him credit, he's got an eye. He got a great photo of Rory McIlroy after winning the Masters. He also recently got paid, what was it? Was it $3.5 or $5 million by the Cincinnati Reds to spend the weekend walking around on a golf course? Not a bad deal. Well done, Junior.
The only surprising thing about that is the Reds actually paid him $3.5 million.
I know.
What's going on with that?
I know, right? Anything else baseball you guys want to touch on? I mean, other than the fact that I am stunned. One, by the way, that the White Sox are somehow managing to be worse than I expect. Like, you would have just thought regression to the mean, right?
Well, you think you hit the floor with them, right? Like that's
right.
the problem.
You think like we got rid of all the guys who were just cancers in the locker room and didn't care. Like we got rid of them. We have a locker room full of young kids who have a reason to prove themselves. We have to be better. And somehow it's just not working. But not just that, but also somehow the Colorado Rockies are playing even worse.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
What's it like to, I mean, look, it's not like this in all cases, but you have some of these teams just don't seem to ever figure it out. Like Colorado, like Pittsburgh, who willingly doesn't want to figure it out. They're a different case, I think.
Which is crazy when you have one of the best pitchers in baseball. Why wouldn't you?
I'm talking like just the situation, Elliot, of, we're in the mountains, we're at high altitude, we have a beautiful stadium. Like offense isn't a problem here. You do have a pretty, like, no matter what the sport is in Denver, you got a pretty active fan base there that's pretty loyal to their teams.
Yeah.
Almost any of they've got all 4 major sports. But you know what? Fuck, 5 major sports. I almost left MLS out of it.
That's not a major sport.
I hear that all the time. They're like a top 5 league. Like they've actually improved. Fine.
The baseline is low.
They could take the Bundesliga.
Yeah. Hey, you just wait, man. Professional lacrosse is up and coming.
Okay.
It's going to be huge.
And the problem with lacrosse is like, I've tried to watch it a few times, even live, and I just can't.
I can't believe I'm going to say this. It's too fast.
You might be right about that, because there are sports like indoor, like soccer played in a hockey-sized rink or arena football. Like the scoring happens so often and so frequent, it just gets a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah, no, with lacrosse, like, and I've watched games obviously in person. We have both boys and girls lacrosse teams at the school I work at. And I've watched games on TV as well. Like the ball's just getting tossed around. It's all leisurely. And then all of a sudden it's in the back of the net and you're like, wait, what just happened? Like, you cannot keep up.
They need
I
to make
can't
the
see
net
it
smaller
either.
and the goalie's pads bigger, and they're already big enough. So I don't know how they do it.
And they have a gigantic net. It's not even a stick. They have a gigantic net on the end of the stick, and they still can't stop the ball.
Well, you're trying to catch BBs in a fishing net.
Right.
I mean, you can't. That's what I'd like to see, Pete. If we could just make up a new sport real quick, is the highlight guys on a lacrosse field.
Oh my God.
And make the ball smaller.
Okay.
I'd go watch that.
Playing with the golf ball?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, you have to put safety netting up for the fans because somebody would die like almost every game.
Oh, yeah. 100%. 100%.
Anyway, stupid thought. No, I don't have any more on baseball. Just we'll keep an eye on what is happening. Cardinals are still tied. So Mats came into the rescue for Palante. So
interesting. Yeah. Interesting use.
He's going to be that. I think they're going to a 6-man rotation that we're supposed to later this month if they haven't already.
Yeah, I think that they said that they were going to.
They said that they were going to.
They have started already.
Yeah. So 6-man rotation, Mats was going to be a factor there. But again, like, the reset has not been reset in terms of pitching staff. Same one you saw last year.
Yep. Well, and it doesn't have to necessarily, I mean, I've read this as well, that, and not that this is specific to the Cardinals, but I've read that some teams don't necessarily go to a hard 6-man rotation. But what they do is they occasionally will go to bullpen games or whatever, or use that 6th starter, somebody who can swing from time to time when they have a day off or something, to buy the rotation an extra day.
Or when they've got that jam-packed schedule where they're playing like 10, 11 days in a row, and they're going to put a 6-man in, but then that 6-man becomes a long relief guy every other day.
Yep. Exactly. Hey, Ron. And I know that you don't have much to talk about in this week's Soccer Minute, but I just wanted to give you an opportunity to feature, because hats off to you for sticking to your guns.
I'm going to stick to my guns, because talking about a scoreless draw is ridiculous. Now, there's a really good podcast that I've listened to since soccer started for me in my infancy in 2023, called Flyover Footy. Those guys are really good. Now, they can fill an hour talking about a scoreless draw, because they are deep into the nuance and things that happen off the field and during training, everything. Those guys are plugged in. They're at the training sessions during the week, and they're at the press conferences. So it's a good listen. Flyover Footy. For us, though, that live several states away, who can't be at that stuff, I am not talking about a scoreless draw. There's nothing to talk about. This game, there was a little bit more. Now, they played the best team in the MLS in Vancouver Whitecaps. They're really good.
So an accomplishment to hold them scoreless.
And if it weren't for a call, which is the only thing I'm going to bring up, St. Louis did find the net. An offsides was called, but not by the line judge. VAR dialed up the head judge and talked to him a minute or two after all this was done, reviewed it. Well, yeah, I guess we got to call the offsides. No goal.
See, I'm not a fan of that.
I'm not a fan of it either.
It needs to be, and that's what I'm hoping that that never happens with baseball, when inevitably you have automated balls and strikes, and also when inevitably they expand challenges a little bit more, is that it never leaves, the initial call never leaves the field.
Well, and I agree with that, Pete, a lot. Now that overrides the week before, when they also had a goal taken away, but it was the line judge who called it, reviewed it at VAR. VAR's like, we're not sure what to look at here. The line judge called it. We don't know if we can not enough there to overturn it type of rule, right? So I kind of live with that. I can live with that a little bit more, because there's a human error on the field. They're human. Yep. But MLS does not have a challenge program like baseball and football that we watch the most of, that they do. And I think that might be the one thing that'd be interesting to see happen.
Ron, and this is germane to football, but also I think it's true of all the major leagues, and it's something that you and I talked about early on, not my specific request, but you remember when we first started this, from time to time we'd be like, well, if I was commissioner, right, and that was kind of a semi-regular thing. I tell you what, if I was commissioner of any of the major sports, I would establish a challenge system, an instant replay challenge system, where as long as you get it right, you keep getting challenges, because hopefully it would incentivize the umpires and the referees to clean up their act, quit screwing up. Like if I'm a referee, I feel a little bit of impunity. Craig Counsell makes 2 early challenges early in the game. I don't have to worry about making a good call against the Cubs.
There you go. So it's the whole philosophy on how you want to approach this, because MLS can be very frustrating with its rules, especially when you don't understand right away. What seems intuitive to you, you find out that, well, this is how soccer has looked at these types of things. It's like, Jesus, really? This seems like it's abandoned all common sense. Some of the things, I think, like a review initiated by the booth minutes and minutes after the play has happened, seems to me to be a little bit ridiculous. Because if you look at that call, or you look at the actual event, it was not so egregious or out there that I think it meaningfully changed the way the play played itself out. And so to reverse that, to take the goal away, really sucked. For that event, it was João Klaus. He found the net again. It would have been the second week. No, sorry, it was Marcel Hartl. And so it's taken away. They ended up in a scoreless draw, but they created tons of chances. They had just as many shots as Vancouver did. surprised that the statistics said that they controlled the ball almost 50%. So it was almost 50-50 split. And they were playing a really good team. And it just is a frustrating thing about watching City is you see how good they can be, but they just don't put it
missing
together.
The superstar.
That's one thing that you could argue that they are missing, that guy with the one touch that can create chances, good chances. But you saw him do it last week against the best team. Why can't they do it against the not best team? And they would have a winning record, and I wouldn't be as frustrated as I am. You know what I mean? It's the consistency of play. If they played every team like they just played Vancouver, I mean, they might still have a loss or two in the loss column, but they wouldn't be sitting with 5 goals in 8 games. So I don't know. That's the frustrating thing is you see it. You see that they can be good, but this is not consistent week in and week out. So I don't know.
Well, Ron, if I can pray for anything in the week ahead, it would be for Elliot to not make distracting noises during the podcast. But knowing that I can't have that,
never.
I hope that you'll have a reason to record a podcast this coming weekend.
Well, their reward is LAFC, so I'm not so sure about that. There's going to be goals scored in that game. I have no doubt. Now, the other interesting thing about the City game. Sorry, I went well past my minute here. But I think we're talking about replay, which I want to talk about automatic ball and strike call here in a second because we got a few minutes left. But so shit, what was I going to say? Come on, help me bring it back. I distracted myself with automatic balls and strikes.
Replay.
Damn it.
Scoring against LAFC. Recording a podcast.
So handing Vancouver a clean sheet, which has only happened twice this year, was pretty impressive considering their defensive leader, Roman Berkey, is still out. He'll probably be back next week, but he's been out for like 5 matches in a row. Luntz filled in great. He's had 2 clean sheets of his own. A lot of those goals haven't been his fault. But the defense, they lost their main center back. Henry Kessler had an injury on Friday, hamstring. They've had a lot of those. And so they had kind of a new back 3 that we hadn't seen before. So defensively, they're very sound. So that was impressive to know that. If you would have told me that City was going to blank Vancouver, no matter the outcome, I would have been, holy shit, no way. So they've done that. But I want to talk a second about, since replay was brought up and some of the things that I've learned about the MLS are a little like they're making shit complicated, kind of like the NFL for a few years couldn't define a catch. All right. And the referees never called it consistently either. Hell, the replays never called it consistently. But the automatic ball and strike. So, Pete, we've talked about challenge systems and what baseball could do to expand that. Like, you should be able to challenge a foul ball. You should be able to challenge a check swing. Like, those things should be in there and they should be in play. If I'm an umpire, I'm not offended by the automatic ball and strike call. Why would I be? It takes a little bit of pressure off of me, but it also has a chance to correct me along the way. If I've set my eye line or wherever I've envisioned the box where the strike zone is, if I'm off a little bit and somebody's challenged something and I was wrong, it might reset me a little bit on my expectation. Okay, well, I'm not getting the low outside corner. I'm missing that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and especially like the most egregious ones, and we've seen this a lot, and they're the easiest ones to call about, right? Catcher sets up outside, so the umpire sets up on his shoulder, and the pitcher misses his spot inside. It's still a strike, but because of where he's set up, the umpire calls it a ball.
Right.
He shouldn't be offended by being challenged and having that corrected.
No.
And the whole purpose of having an umpire there to begin with is to make sure the game is called correctly.
Right.
So if these guys are fearing long-term that there's going to be some kind of AI cameras and sensor technology out on the field replacing human umpires, that's never going to happen. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to do infield fly rules. You're going to have to kick guys out. You're going to have to have a judgment call on did the catcher give the runner a sliding lane into home plate. Those are things that cameras and shit can't call immediately. You have to have people out there to make the call, and the first call should be up to them. It should be on them, and the team should be limited a few guardrails on what you can challenge. And should you use those early in the game? Should you wait and use them late? But ultimately, we all want the game to be called correctly.
Yep.
So I don't know why there's a fight between any Major League Baseball umpire. Do they think they're going to be replaced by automation at some point? I don't think so.
No. All right, gentlemen, before we sign off, I do have to say, I just want to acknowledge you two for sacrificing yourselves, for coming on and recording the podcast when I know that you would rather be watching some substandard Drek on Disney Plus. No, I'm sure it's going to be great. I can't wait for you guys to talk about how much I'm missing it. And I genuinely mean that. I do want you guys to talk about the episode. Convince me why I should buy back in, because right now, I think my interest in the Star Wars saga is at its lowest point.
Okay, fine. With this story, I don't understand your logic on this particular story. Yeah. I can understand the other ones if you've been driven away. But this one, like, we missed talking to you about it in real time, as though you had seen it, we had seen it. Now we come together and we talk about it. You have robbed us of that for years now. So I don't know when you're going to get over this.
Yeah, I've watched season 1 twice.
Oh, wait.
Andor.
What have we missed talking about? Please tell me about the life-changing content that Disney has turned out over the last, 2 years, 3 years, that you were just dying to talk with me about.
What, Pete? That's
season 2 or season 1 of Ahsoka, season 3 of The Mandalorian. Oh, damn, I missed Jack Black.
But
Jack Black's edition of Star Wars.
We can't have a first conversation with you, even if it's bad. That's what you've robbed us. It doesn't have to be a life-changing event. Even if it's bad, we'd like to talk to you about it being bad.
You can tell me how bad it was, and then I can just sit here and nod and smile in knowing that I was right. Because that's my favorite thing in the world.
Yelling at clouds. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Silent protest.
All right. With that, I think that we're done for the week. So if you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to leave a comment and subscribe. And if you want to help spread the word, please give us a 5-star review and tell your friends to do the same. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. And we also regularly live stream on X, Rumble, Facebook, and YouTube. And, just to remind you, we're now proud members of the Radcast Network. And I got to say, it was a little disconcerting to listen back to the podcast this week. It threw me a little. And it took me 1 minute to get to the intro song because there were a couple of ads that ran before our show. It was weird.
It was really weird.
It was weirder to hear a professional ad read before our show than it was to listen to when we mangled ad reads mid-show during the pandemic.
I liked our. In fact,
I did too. But this was far more disconcerting than that.
Don't give us these pre-baked ads. Let us read them. We'll do them way more justice.
Well, we'll certainly make them more entertaining.
That's damn right we will.
100%.
You can find Elliot on X at
TOR_Elliot.
And you can find her on at And finally, you can get in touch with us at any social media channel at the Park STL, and also at Team Arrivals Pod, or by email at teamarrivalspodcast@gmail.com. Guys, this was loads of fun, especially because, the Cubs were winning, but we can't have nice things, and it's still too early.
Nice bullpen.
That's right. It's still too early. So have a great week. We'll talk to you all next week.